So in this, you will see that I went to the cemetery. We had not been able to find a baby sister that died, uh, not at birth. She lived for a month. The doctors had broken her neck using the forceps. She lived for that month. And she was buried by the city, which is where we're at now. And at the local city cemetery. And you see us trying to find her headstone. There was a plaque in there in this place, but we had at some point just couldn't find her. Basically, we dug up. They had a lot number, and that was basically it. She died in '72, and there you see us digging, trying to find a plaque. And in doing so, we actually found like 6 plaques that were obviously lost as well. The earth had grown over and such. I believe this is the second one that we found. As there's a piece of one over there that he has, but that's what's going on here. They used the metal detector, and it, obviously would tell you where if you're hitting or if you're close or whatever, and we ended up finding, I believe here, not sure. I think it was 3 right before we actually found my sister. Again, the babies were buried by the city, and they were buried very close together, side by side. So, and from what I understand, they weren't necessarily buried 6 feet under back then. So I'm not sure what that's about or how that affects anything, if it even does. But here it is. We unearthed. I think that was a baby. It just said baby girl. There was no name on it. I think it said baby girl, and she was in 73 or 74. So we knew we were close. But for some reason, the records missed these 6. When someone was keeping records, well, I know why. They were coming down and getting the names and such, and these were buried underground, so obviously they weren't able to locate them, so they skipped them altogether. So they're not in the notebook. So that's why it was kind of a chance to find them. Hopefully, me being persistent and saying, listen, I need to find my sister because I want to put a headstone on her grave. And we have been talking about this for years, but every time we went, we just could not locate her. And they just weren't very helpful. But this time, I was very persistent. I did have to get a little bit. So this is what happened when you do that. So we unearthed that one. And sadly, she said that back then, the way they kept records, they would just say like black child or Mexican child or baby boy black or baby girl, brown. And that's some of the records that's what they say. So I don't know if those are babies that probably weren't named because they were deceased. I'm not sure, but we obviously gave my sister a name, and her name is Sandy Rodriguez. So that's what we were hoping for. And then I want to say that close to, we were about to give up, and he hit one more time, and it was a really strong hit. This is before. I think this is the one before or 2 before, and they just laid them down that way because they're going to put different markers on them. And I'm hoping that in doing so and going and being persistent about mine, that they will continue to find the ones that are missing so that they can at least, have a marker on there for their families if they come searching for them. Again, this is a long time ago. Things were done differently. It's not their fault. But they also didn't really want to go out there and look. But to that day we did. The weather was perfect for this. It was so many different emotions going on at the time. But we did end up finding my sister, and I think she is probably going to be next. We'll see. I think around this time, there's a bit of break. I apologize for that. So at this point is when we find my sister. I believe that was the last one they tried. He did say that he had some plaques back there that he could recreate that for a temporary, temporarily. So we definitely, and they allowed me to take the plaque with me. So that was nice. But we did find her. She was the last one. I believe we found 6 or 7. Again, she was the last one. So it's just unfortunate, that these graves aren't unkept, and I don't know what the other families, I don't know if they've come looking for their loved ones, but definitely very prideful moment. I did shed a few tears. And I knew my family was also looking. So that day it was one of those days when I woke up and I was like, let me go see if I can find my sister. So guys, we're here at the cemetery where my mother and my brother are buried. And then my little sister, who we just found her plaque and her marker, was buried in 1972 in Babyland. Now I just learned that if they run out of space, they kind of bury on top of others, and that's how it was back in the day. Pretty sure that's illegal today, and I hope that's not the case with my sister. But we could not find her for years. The earth just grew over her, and we were able to do that, and y'all saw that. I'll show y'all in the rest of the video. But right now, we're fixing to go pay a little bit of respect to my mom and my brother, and so I'll take you with me. So guys, this is my mother, and I placed my sister's plaque on top of it. Back in the day, Rodriguez is, when you can say Rodriguez and everybody used to Q, but it's really a G. So that's my mama right there. That's my brother. And like I said, my mother's over here. So I also found out that you can see how that person's buried on top of that person. So the one right there that says Martha Rodriguez, no, we are not related. It's a cremation, and it is placed on top of someone. Now, I don't understand, because the names do not match. I mean, that's Hanks, and that's Rodriguez. So I don't know how she ended up cremated on top of somebody else. I don't understand that behavior. But then my mother's right here. So my brother's 2 rows over and over to the side. And recently, typically she has 2 vases that go on either side. But recently, this person here in front, right there, has recently passed away, and is the partner to this person here. And so they had to remove my mother's stone altogether, and had set it aside, and they broke the vases, but they did replace them. But apparently whatever this is they use, which they claim that is the same thing that's used on this. Now it's funny how because they had this completely separated from this, right? And they said that it's the same thing, but it's not taken here. It looks like putty to me. It doesn't look like cement. But they said that it won't set in the cold. Has to do it in the. So I took the vases so that they didn't break. And we'll, in the spring or in the summer or something, we'll come back and place them back on there for her. But it was on either side. This one didn't even attach. This was recent, and I want to say a couple of weeks ago. And as you can see, it's not setting. Whatever this is, putty, is not setting. So definitely need to put concrete or whatever they use for this, because this is sturdy. So they cannot have used. I don't think they used the same thing. She claims it was, but if that was the case, why did that set? So I don't know. But anyway, they put it back, and when they put it back wrong. They had the Rodriguez on the other side, and the Rodriguez, we had it placed there, because my mother actually is here. Her head is there. So the name is on the back, and they had it reversed, and they had her upside down, which, it's It just so happened that my niece came to visit my mother, and it was just she was torn all up. So that's how we found out about it. Probably wouldn't have found about it until we came and saw that the headstone was turned the other way. So anywho, that's that. I'm gonna take a moment, and then we'll head back home.